welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-qualifying edition for the 2019 Brazilian Grand Prix. And there is your six-time Formula One world champion, Lewis Hamilton, who bizarrely enough, in a season where he has been on fine form, has not been on pole position that many times. Today is another one of those times. He was pipped to the pole. Ferrari had looked great all the way through the weekend. When we spoke to Sebastian Vettel yesterday, we said, are you the team to beat? He said, depends what day. Meaning he thought he had a good run for the best time, for the best qualifying position on Saturday, but come Sunday was worried about the long run pace of that Mercedes. Factor in also Max Verstappen, the Red Bull driver, goes brilliantly here and yet has only one pole position to his name. At least he did, because now he has two. We'll get to that in a minute, because first, Q1. You know where this is going for Q1, except it's not the two Williams in 19th and 20th, because Carlos Sainz in the McLaren, they've been having a difficult weekend. It got even harder at the start of Q1. An engine issue. By the time he came out to talk to us, he wasn't really sure what had happened. He was just gutted, absolutely gutted, because he knew he had the capability to fight towards the top 10, but didn't even get a timed lap in. P20 Carlos Sainz, P19 Robert Kubica, enjoying driving here for the first time in 9 years. Not easy, having missed free practice, of course. On Friday, George Russell, 20-0 now for the season. So the car should get better with the temperature increasing into tomorrow, but it is what it is. No real surprises to find himself where he does. Lance Stroll, P17, says he has no confidence in the car, but it should get better with the hotter temperatures running into the race tomorrow. At least what he's hoping for. We're going to go with Danny Kvyat, P16. We're going to hear from him. Toro Rosso had been looking like top 10 contenders all the way through the weekend, but Kvyat, just a few too many mistakes in Q1.
I think I didn't drive too well, and the car became a bit worse after FP3. I don't know why. So I made a couple of mistakes, and then I had a bit of lack of straight line speed too. I don't know why yet. But yeah, here and there, a bit of everything, and then you're out of Q1.
A couple of little lockups under braking. Was that an issue for you today?
Yeah, over pushing too much, yeah.
Okay, so just got a little bit in there and then pushed too hard.
Yeah, no, just pushed too hard there in that episode. A bit of curb, then lost the rhythm through the lap, and basically it's a snowball effect. It was bad, lost a lot of rhythm there.
So it's Sainz 20th, Kubica 19th, sorry. Russell 18, Stroll 17, Danny Kvyat in P16, which brings us through to Q2. Now at the end of Q1, it was interesting to see the Haas cars up and fighting towards the top 10. They'd been worried yesterday in the cooler climbs of Friday that as the temperature started to build into Saturday, they would lose their pace. What emerged in Q2 was one of the closest sessions that we've had all year. Literally a tenth of a second split the entire group of drivers that were out in Q2. And we start with Sergio Perez in P15. He said Sundays have been better this year. They have, particularly the last couple of races. Well, he's driven superbly, actually, driven out of his skin to get into the points. But starting back in P15, it's going to be a lot harder for him. 14th, Nico Hülkenberg. Talked about how incredibly close it was. Antonio Giovinazzi, P13, had a spin while pushing for that extra tenth, that extra time that would have got him through into Q3. Daniel Ricciardo, P12, a similar story really as everybody else. It was just nip and tuck for everyone. We'll talk to Lando Norris in P11. It has been a tough weekend for McLaren. Could have been a top 10 for him and for Carlos Sainz. Ultimately, neither McLaren making it through to Q3. Happy with the free choice of tyres for tomorrow, or did you really need to maximise the Saturday pace for a better Sunday?
That's the only positive, really. I get to choose what tyres, but I don't think here makes a huge difference. I would have liked to have been higher. It was so close, 1/10. I don't know where Grosjean was or the P7, but 1/10 would have put me in quite easily. So, but it just wasn't easy to do. So, I don't know. It's annoying that it was such a small margin that we missed out by. And it could, such a small margin being 3-4 places maybe. So that's the frustrating thing. But it's been a tough weekend altogether for us as a team. I think with the car, it's not been. Some tracks you go to and the car just works better. And this weekend is one of the tracks where there's more of the weakness kind of corners. So we were not shocked, you know, that we didn't get in, and we knew it was going to be tough, and it was. And I just didn't do everything. We didn't put it together when it counted, and we got the place we deserved.
So then, Sergio Perez P15, then Hülkenberg, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo and Lando Norris, the drivers out in Q2, which took us through to Q3. Incredibly, we've not mentioned either Haas driver yet. Yes, they both made it through to the top 10. Kevin Magnussen in 10th. Basically, let's just end the weekend now because he's not actually all that optimistic that the car's going to have the pace in the race tomorrow. Shock horror. If it goes well on Saturday, chances are it doesn't on Sunday. Kimi Räikkönen 9th, back where the team belongs, back on song. They've had a couple of little mistakes, couple of dings here and there over the last few races. Kimi hopeful that they can bring home what will be his first points since the summer break in the race on Sunday. Romain Grosjean P8, both Haas cars then doing brilliantly. He's really happy, but obviously bit of a mystery what happens in the race tomorrow with that car. All expectations are the pace will drop off. Then, I think one of the performers actually of this session, Pierre Gasly. Let's hear from Pierre Gasly. P7, best qualifying of the year for him and for Toro Rosso, because he will start in P6. Qualified 6th, starting 5th, Alex Albon. Basically said everything's okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay. Couldn't compete for the pole position that his teammate ultimately took. P5, Valtteri Bottas, long run pace gives him promise and hope for tomorrow. P4, Charles Leclerc messed up his final lap. Hopeful though of a decent car to overtake because he will be starting from P14 with that 10th place penalty for changing engine components coming into the weekend. I said we'd hear from Gasly, we will hear from Gasly. P7 on the day, P6 on the grid. Brilliant run from him.
Honestly, I'm so happy to get the best qualifying of the season with Toro Rosso, starting 6th tomorrow. I think is probably my second best qualifying with the team. So no, just super pleased with the job we've been doing with the car. And then we keep our head down and try to finish the job tomorrow.
What can you do tomorrow?
We start 6th with Charles' penalty, so I mean there will be a lot of opportunities. I haven't driven much during the long run with the problem we had, but I felt good in the car, so I'll find out tomorrow, but I just feel we have a good opportunity, so we'll try to maximize it.
All of which brings us through to your top 3, and it is 3 drivers, 3 of the defining drivers actually of this season and potentially of their generation. 3 teams, top 3 positions. Lewis Hamilton put in a belting final lap to pip Charles Leclerc out of the P3 to P4. He will start in 3rd place on an all Mercedes 2nd row of the grid. Then it's Sebastian Vettel starting in 2nd, and Max Verstappen with, believe it or not, only his 2nd career Formula 1 pole position.
I was really happy with my lap, and it's interesting because I've looked back at the second half of the season and split the Ferraris quite a lot. And whilst it's not been pole position or ahead by half a second, they've been really great laps. It's just it's not a lot we can do when we're down on power compared to others. So, and that's really generally been the case today because the car's been good everywhere else. So, it's not the be and all the end of anything. It's just a good position to start. It's a very strong top 3 particularly, and hopefully that gives us a good fighting chance for the race tomorrow.
You know, it all closes up in the race tomorrow. How much are you looking forward to taking it to Seb and to Max and putting on a show?
Oh man, I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm obviously pushing a huge amount, and I hope that it's going to be a tough race tomorrow with the track temperatures. This is a very demanding circuit as well, so I'm really just hopeful that I've got my car where I need it for the race. I generally should have it, but I think from the results from Friday, we aren't quickest in the race, pace, trim. But maybe we'll have better deck, but time will tell, so we'll see.
Not much anybody could do today about Max in that Red Bull, but you came incredibly close. It was a great lap.
Yeah, I had a little wobble just at the exit of the last corner, but I don't think it was good enough for his second attempt because he was able to improve. But it's good obviously that we got reasonably close, puts us in a good position for tomorrow.
How important is the start going to be? We talked yesterday about the pace that Mercedes has on its long run. You need to get Max in between you two.
Yeah, obviously it would be great to get ahead and stay ahead, but we'll see. It's a long race and it's Interlagos, so anything can happen.
Max, phenomenal run today, just beautiful all the way through. Was it ever in doubt for you?
Well, I mean, it's always a question mark, but I think straight away from Q1, I think the car was working really well, and especially Q2, the car was really good. And then temperature was going up a bit with the sun coming out, so that made it a little bit more tricky in Q3. But overall, I think the car was still very strong, and also from the engine side, I think we had a very good weekend here, so very pleased with that.
Can you hold it for the race tomorrow? The fast Mercedes and Ferrari behind you.
Well, it should be. Normally, we are also quite quick in the race, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
So that is your lot from post-qualifying Paddock Pass here in Brazil. Cannot wait for the Grand Prix tomorrow. It promises to be even warmer than it was today. What will that do to, as Lewis Hamilton was saying, tyre degradation in the race? We know the Mercedes have got great race pace. But are they going to need to get ahead of Verstappen at the start to stop him from running away and hiding? I think we've got a really enthralling, fascinating battle between Verstappen and Vettel and Hamilton for the race win tomorrow. Can Albon get up and fight for his first podium? Can Bottas get into the mix? And what about Leclerc coming back from P14? And all the fight for the top 10 points between Renault and McLaren. Can they get themselves up into the top 10 in that fight for fourth place in the Constructors' Championship? What about the battle between Toro Rosso and Racing Point, with Gasly starting up in the top 6 and the Racing Point cars way down at the lower reaches of the top 20? Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one. From us, though, here in Interlagos, we will see you tomorrow.